There's a crazy stat that about 40 to 50% of the content that people see on their user feeds now comes from accounts they don't follow.
Posting has become psychologically expensive.
Sooner or later, we'll move away from calling it social media. Maybe that's not the right term for it anymore. Maybe it will just become entertainment media.
The odds of killer robots annihilating humanity are between 10 and 20%.
You're going to have your own AI defending you at all costs. And you're going to have other people trying to hack you at all costs.
A civilization-level gamble should require civilization-level consent, really, shouldn't it?
Yeah, the war begins.
Hello and welcome to episode 118 of Disconnected. I'm your host, Jag Sharma, joined by my co-hosts Jen Campbell in Hong Kong, Jason Kapadia in Dubai, and Matt Webster in Rio de Janeiro. And together, we'll be delving into the world of AI tech and social media and how it's impacting society and culture. Coming up, Jen asks whether social media has quietly stopped being social. New research suggests that more than half of people are posting less than they did 5 years ago, while many now say maintaining a social media presence feels like work. At the same time, the platforms continue to rise. So are people leaving social media, or are they simply becoming spectators inside entertainment platforms that masquerade as social networks? Jason looks at a surprising Uno reverse in the workplace. After months of companies holding back on hiring, partly because they believed AI could absorb everything, more employers are now recruiting again. Not because AI has failed, but because maybe AI still needs humans working alongside it. So were our predictions of mass AI unemployment exaggerated? And Matt reminds us that realities and science fiction are converging. Elon Musk says the possibility of a catastrophic AI is not zero, but believes humanity should continue anyway, because most likely there's going to be incredible abundance for all. While all this was happening, an incident happened online that many have labelled as Skynet Day. More to come from Matt on that, as well as other trending topics. Right then, guys, it's the old gang, it's the original. Let's get into it, and let's start off with Jen. Jen, I haven't seen or heard of you for a while, and I'm so glad you're back. And let's start with you. Social is becoming less social. Social is becoming like Jen Campbell.
Well, this is it. You've not seen or heard from me because I haven't posted anything in some time. And maybe that is because social is now less social. Big question. Is it a big question? You made a point before of, are people quietly making social less social? I don't think it's that quiet. I think it's been quite an overt change in the last kind of 10 years. But this article we found really brought to life a few elements of social media that I thought would be good to discuss, and also is a therapy session for me because I end up talking about paid media and social media too much for my own liking. So this study that we found was published by Incogni, and it is found, like you said, that 50% of people are on social media less than they were 5 years ago. I think the reality is that social isn't necessarily less social anymore. It's just that it's moved into private groups, and the media part is now more entertainment based, and like a personalized AI curated TV network is how it's now being described. And I think that's exactly it. I think what you'll find is that if people want to connect or engage with people, they are very much on WhatsApp, or they're in messages, or they're in smaller groups. And actually what used to be, the fun of Facebook, poking someone you liked, sending a DM to someone you didn't know, posting pictures from nights out, is kind of a less of a content play anymore for everyone to connect through. So there's an Ofcom report in the UK that found that, active participants, so people posting, sharing, commenting, has dropped 49% from 61% 2 years ago. So this has changed quite a lot in the last 2 years. Whereas private sharing has increased by 45% on TikTok and by another 12% on Instagram. So people are definitely sharing and being social, but it's definitely more in private than it was in public previously. And I think the thing is, the algorithms do play such a huge part in this. So I went down a bit of a rabbit hole looking into it. And there's a crazy stat that about 40 to 50% of the content that people see on their user feeds now comes from accounts that they don't follow. So where it used to be that you only saw your friend content, and I know you can set it up so you can get rid of some of this stuff, but at a basic level and where people don't put those filters in place, if you're seeing 50% of content from people you don't follow, then it isn't social anymore. It then just becomes an entertainment channel, and what you engage with is what you see. So take me, for example. I spend a lot of time on Instagram looking at shark videos because I'm just that kind of weirdo. And it all started from some friends of mine who lived in Australia who posted something. And now I can't tell you the amount of time I spend on Drone Shark app page on Instagram looking at sharks in Australia for no reason, just for entertainment. I'm not sharing it with anyone. The only people I talk to about it are you guys now. It's not a social thing. It's just purely entertainment. And I think that's what's happening more and more. So I think the trend of people being observing over posting has always been there. I think it's just accentuated recently. And it kind of, if you look at how much time people spend on site, it's also really changed. So this is also crazy. People spend 95 minutes a day on TikTok in the US. They'll spend 75 minutes a day on YouTube. And I actually can't believe that's not higher because people tend to watch long form content on YouTube. But I'm not in a TikTok market, so maybe that's not surprising to you guys. And then 55 minutes a day on Instagram and only 30 to 35% on Facebook and that platform formerly known as Twitter, as we now call X. So you can see it's kind of moved into those entertainment channels more than kind of connecting with people you know. And what is interesting about this is you never really see the stats on WhatsApp or kind of Facebook Messenger or iMessenger or those sorts of things. And I do wonder if, that's where people have moved to. But then I started thinking about content creators and what it means for them. And actually I was listening to the Rest is Entertainment podcast this morning, and they were talking about Goldman Sachs have just done a study, and it shows the creator industry is worth $480 billion a year. So it is huge, but only 4% of creators make over 100K a year, and just over 48% make less than 15,000 US dollars a year. So in terms of making a career out of it, I think the likes of Mr. Beast make it look easy and kind of make it look like you can create this content that people will want to engage with. But that in itself is very, very difficult. And the other thing they were talking about, 39% of Americans identify as creators. And I don't know whether it's just a generational thing, but I really don't know that many people who would say they were a creator. And so that to me in itself is interesting. I would think people have moved away from it being a social platform where they connect with friends to being now, I've got this following of people I don't really know who are interested in the content that I create, and they're not making a lot of money from it. If only 4% are making kind of enough to live off, then people are either doing it part-time or they're up and coming, or people are just failing in careers. And it's just really interesting to me. So I think the statement in itself that social is now less social is not that surprising. But when it comes to being an entertainment channel, it really interests me in kind of what succeeds, what people are engaging with. People do see it now as a form of TV, undoubtedly. Like we do a lot of work in the Philippines and Vietnam where people just don't watch TV anymore. People just watch YouTube. We do a lot of connected TV ads because that's where people are. And people are moving away from traditional channels, but the content they're engaging with is entertainment. It's not social, as it were. So I wonder if sooner or later we'll move away from calling it social media. Maybe that's not the right term for it anymore. Maybe it will just become entertainment media, and that's where we'll go with it. And, with all these platforms bringing in more video content over stills, and, it's not about conversations anymore. It's really about viewing and how long view through rates and all that sort of stuff and keeping people in the platform. It is just a form. It's just an entertainment channel. So I thought it was interesting just because the headline was clickbait, but equally, that is the way these channels have gone. And I'm interested to hear what you guys think. Like, are you surprised that people are spending 95 minutes a day on TikTok? Is that normal where you guys are? I guess Jason and Matt. And YouTube, like 75 minutes a day on YouTube seems really low to me, but I guess it's an average, so maybe it's not that low. But what do you guys think?
I think posting has become psychologically expensive. Years ago, you could upload a badly lit photo, a random thought, a whole album on Facebook of your Beano in Buenos Aires or whatever it is that Matt goes to, without a thought or a feeling that it would need to perform. But today, every post sits inside a feed filled with highly professionalized content. So it's a highly professionalized content environment. People compare themselves with creators, influencers, brands, polished personal profiles. there's pressure to look interesting, sound intelligent, be funny, have an aesthetic, just to potentially achieve engagement. That turns casual self-expression into a small publishing house exercise. And that's my perspective. That's why I post less, because I think like, oh, why bother?
It's interesting Jag, that you mentioned, the random thought. And I remember Facebook back in the day. I remember it used to have a little pre-written prompt that said, Matt is, and you would put like, going out to the pub. And that was really just kind of quite social, quite kind of Matt is, random thought, haha. And you didn't care really back then who saw it, what the traction was or anything like that. It was just random thoughts. And it has completely changed, as everything does in the digital world, into something else. And one more thing I'd like to touch on that's just been sparked in my head from what Jen was saying in that intro. So I left an agency of mine and started out again on my own. And one of the things that I thought about was, well, I need to find some new clients, and I can't nick the ones that I've just been working with because I'm legally bound, not allowed to do that. So I used LinkedIn in the early days and put myself out there. And the point I'm trying to make is I put out videos and I put out my thoughts and tried to entertain, to get attention. And one of my first thoughts was, I was like disappointed that my mates and my colleagues didn't care. They didn't give a damn. And it was lots of strangers that were liking and giving me affirmation and comments and like, that's cool. And I did create and have created lots of connections of business through LinkedIn on that journey. But it's not social, is it? Because none of my mates in the pub were like, oh, I saw that funny post you did. They don't give a crap. None of them cared. None of my colleagues cared at all. So that LinkedIn journey that I've just briefly described, I mean, LinkedIn, is it social media? I guess. But that was definitely not a social journey of mine. It was entertaining through content to get contacts, to get business. Is that what the other channels have turned into for everyone else?
Yeah, actually, maybe. I don't know if you guys know the 99 and 1 principle for online communities that I think it was established in 2006 in The Guardian. Basically, it says that 90% of users only consume, 9% occasionally interact or edit or whatever, and only 1% actively actually create. And even though now it's easier than ever to make polished looking content with AI and, I guess filtering your image in the right way automatically, it seems like the ratio hasn't flattened. It's actually becoming more and more centralized. And basically, it means that our public discourse that you see online is actually shaped by like an even smaller, non-representative fraction of users, which is, I don't know if that's more concerning or not. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me that people are just more kind of on the consuming side now. And I don't know, for me, posting socially, I don't know, going to Jag's point, there is this friction that behind it where I am personally thinking, oh God, how is this going to be perceived? Is it going to affect any kind of future? After the whole Kevin Hart thing that, ages ago, it kind of made me think that, okay, everything that I have in my timeline, I'm going to be judged on in the future, even though if it was a joke at the time or whatever, things can, I don't know. It just, and I think maybe others potentially are like that. Jen, on to your point, is how many have I met people that identify as creators? I have been around like a creators gathering and chatting about stuff, and a lot of the youth that I speak to, one of the potential careers they want to go down is creating. So maybe it's just something that they want to do in the youth, or maybe you just want to share way more when you're younger. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but yeah, it's the distribution of money. I guess it's in with all industries, I guess, but like 95% of YouTube views in terms of the capital that actually goes into funneled into the revenue of these channels, like only 5% go to 5% of the active channels. So I don't know if it'd ever be the best career, but to go into, and especially with all this AI stuff, I'm not sure.
Okay, so big question. Do you think we will get rid of TV as we know it from when we were kids? and it will just be replaced by these entertainment media channels that are short video, long video, whatever you're looking for, you can find.
Yes. I just think that just a lot more of the short form content, and you can kind of just get to the crux of a message quickly. That is just the future. And it has been coming for a long time. And I feel, even when I see my parents watching way less TV and just scrolling on social as well. So even that whole generation is hooked. So yeah, definitely think so.
Just the other day, me and my daughter accidentally put on LG TV on our TV, which is the old-fashioned type of broadcast TV when you have channels that are unscheduled. And my daughter was just like, what is this? Like, she just has no interest in it at all. I found myself like an old person going, look, it's fun. We can go through the channels and see if we can find something, and maybe we can find a gem. And she's like, what's the point? It's like she just interacts with Netflix.
Just stick Netflix on. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we reduce YouTube, but, you know, if we let her, she'd watch YouTube all day. But it's just Netflix and YouTube. And this old broadcast programs all set up, scheduled. She doesn't even understand what that is. Like, it's nonsense to her. So that's Generation Alpha and what they think of it. Well, it's a case study of one, but...
So Netflix are working on a personalized live TV channel for everyone. So when you log into your Netflix, you will have a chance to just go to your channel, and Netflix will automatically curate like a live broadcast. Live is the wrong word I'm using, but if it makes sense, in the sense of they've just queued up a bunch of stuff for you to watch, and you watch it. And that's what they're working on at the moment. How personalized it will be, let's see. I think the initial rollout is going to be, they might do it by genre and it won't be personalized. So if you're someone that, I don't know, loves the E4 daytime schedule of Big Bang Theory, How I Met Your Mother, that police one, what's it called? Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine,
yeah. So if you're someone that likes that on E4, then maybe Netflix will do their version, and it's just like, there, you put it on the background. Because one of the Netflix's biggest challenges is you open it up and then you have to kind of figure out what you want to watch. But if there's just something there that you can already tune into, and if you're on the lower tier for Netflix, they'll intersperse it with ads. So hey-ho, we've gone full circle. You're just going to have your own TV.
They're just creative
channel.
TV. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. I've got a question, guys. What happens when only a very small group of people regularly contribute to public online conversation? And I mean that in terms of even content creation. So if you're opening your threads, as much as I am, and then you'll see posts, you know, in your feed, and that shapes the narrative. That shapes where my head is turned and what I'm looking at. And then if I'm not creating content, and if Jason's not creating content, and if Jen's not creating content, then I'll never get the viewpoint. I'll never see, you know, what does a Jason Kapadia that lives in Dubai think about the world, or what's going on in his life? You know, what does Jet Setter Jen think about XYZ or whatever? You know, just don't know. But Ron in Lancaster, he's on my feed. Don't even know who Ron is. Anyway.
The thing is, Jet Set Jen and Tech Ace Jason will be sending you stuff via dark social, aka WhatsApp. So they'll just send you a meme, or they'll send you something that another creator has made. They probably won't even add a comment. They'll just spam you with memes, and that's their thoughts on the world. That's the way it's going.
Do you not get the updates from Jason's AI agent like I do? That's how I get his thoughts.
Sorry, my point here is, Matt, is that if it's a smaller group of people publishing and being seen by a wider mass audience, they can help shape a wider public narrative better than Jason's AI agent sending me stuff on WhatsApp.
Yes, they can. And the megalodons of that world already do. Look at Jason's mate Elon. His personal brand is highly persuasive and very focused on telling the world what's going on, so much so that he affects, you know, the markets in what he says and doesn't say. So that's the top of the pile there. And there's only a few of these megalodons, and when they speak, everybody shares and has an opinion. So kind of already there.
Isn't that just old style journalism? Isn't that what happened before social media came along anyway? You were limited to where you got information from news outlets, depending on which news you read or got delivered to your house on a Saturday morning.
But Rupert Murdoch didn't come on the TV and tell you what to think. But now, in this age, we've got the equivalent doing so, which is Elon and co.
I mean, he did tell us what to think. You're old enough, Matt. Do you remember the election in the early 90s in the UK? Headline of the Sun, last one out of Britain, turned the lights off. And it worked.
Yeah, whatever the Sun told people to vote for back in the day, they voted for. But it wasn't his face, it was his apparatus, wasn't it? It wasn't. Now we've got Elon Musk and he uses his personal brand. Back then, Rupert Murdoch was in the background, sat in a nice leather chair, counting his cash and doing it in a much more convoluted, cleverer way, just less in your face way.
I guess to your point, Matt, actually, the town square is actually moving to WhatsApp and those kind of DMing apps. It's replacing your public feed for, your personal updates, basically. And I feel like people who don't want to perform for the algorithm will be, just posting there or Discord or private Substacks or, for, I guess, more authentic conversations because, you don't have to perform for the algorithm. And I guess the algorithm that you see on TikTok and Instagram and all of that is more not about for like following people who like you were saying, Jen. It's just about what keeps your attention.
Yeah, it's pure entertainment, right? And you don't know the people that are posting it. You don't see anyone you know in your feed anymore. So yeah, that's going to drive you to the town square of WhatsApp, like you say. You have your groups, you have your Unimate groups, you have your Footymate groups, and they're all sharing stuff about the world. And I guess that's going to shape what we think. That's the social element of social media. It's just, it's kind of gone underground.
So social media may not be dying, but social behavior on social media probably is dying. The public feed is becoming television, while actual social connection moves into private messages. And you know what, guys? Let's also move on. And let's move on to Jason, who's giving us hope for employment in the AI era.
Yes, so a wave of corporate regret is hitting major employers. According to the consultancy Forrester, 55% of business leaders regret tech-driven staff cuts, and analysts predict up to half of AI-attributed layoffs will be quietly reversed. And so you're asking, why is this reversal happening? And they're saying it's because AI tools have flaws and hidden costs, and these tech automations that have been promised haven't been performing as well as expected, and operational costs have been turning out to be a lot higher than planned. Anyone who lets their team loose with a Claude API key has probably seen that it can it can completely blow out your budget for a quarter just in a couple of days if you don't tighten the leash. And they're saying that you need to have human oversight, and without it, companies aren't really realizing that AI output that they thought they would. Or they're saying that it's you still need humans in the loop, basically. And the talent pipeline is drying up, and cutting entry-level jobs means companies risk having no experienced mid-level workforce in 3 to 5 years. So who is actually rehiring? Ford is bringing back senior engineers after realizing AI models lack the deep domain experience of veteran staff. IBM is resuming entry-level hiring across software marketing and consulting to protect its future talent pipeline. And according to staffing agency Robert Half, is estimating 1 in 3 hiring executives who cut roles due to AI automation have already rehired those workers or recruited replacement. So Forrester also estimates that we will only automate around 6% of global jobs by 2030. And even though AI remains powerful assistant, sustainable business growth still relies heavily on experienced human talent. So it's not all doom and gloom. What do you guys think?
I have so many conversations at work about how much money we waste telling people to use Copilot and they use it for tasks that they could just do without having to use AI, and how much their tokens, credits, whatever are costing. Never mind the impact of the planet, but we'll come back to that another time. So I mean, I'm not surprised. I think it's only going to keep increasing, and everybody making the staff cuts for cost cutting. There's going to be a pendulum swing back some of the way. So it's good to hear some of these roles are being re-recruited. Whether they're going back into the same roles that have been cut in the first place remains to be seen, because I assume they're not. Again, like from what I hear of friends who work here, a lot of the hiring is being done with people who have AI experience, which cracks me up, because genuinely, how much experience can people have? It's not been around that long, but okay, into really senior roles. But they are still making lots and lots of cuts in more like customer service roles and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think it's not surprising. People do want talent. They want to bring in people who can help with these, to figure out the best use cases and make sure it's kind of ring fenced into those places. But equally, there are still jobs out there that are getting overtaken by some of the things that AI capabilities can do.
I'm happy with this story, Jason. It makes me feel good, because although Jag makes out that I'm obsessed with killer robots and Terminator 2 style future, I do want humans to be happy and to prosper and to use AI as a tool. So I love this U-turn. It's kind of, when I read it, I was kind of like, ha, brilliant. That was my initial reaction. You know what it reminds me of, actually, a little bit, just going across into my world of work, is brands that have products that are available for everyone, but they get obsessed with Gen Z. It's obsession with Gen Z. We need to get Gen Z. We need to talk to Gen Z. We need to do this campaign. We need to do our strategy on Gen Z. And by doing that, focusing on one particular audience that don't have much money yet and ignoring the rest of the customers, the pendulum swings, and a few years down the line, those Gen Z people that they were talking to don't really remember or care about them. They've got money now and they go to other brands. So you need to keep your options open. And it looks like a lot of these big companies, like really big, clever companies like IBM, just threw the kitchen sink at AI far too quickly without thinking it through. Kind of ridiculous, but I guess that's what humans do, right?
Yeah, I also think this is great. AI can perform tasks, but organizations are more than just a collection of tasks. You still need people to set priorities, exercise judgment, manage relationships, understand context, persuade, sell, take responsibility, although some people don't take responsibility, remove ambiguity, supervise systems, and then AI can generate the output. But my question back to you on this, Jace, is with companies hiring again, does that mean that us worker bees can relax about AI replacing them? Can we just chill out now and not worry?
I don't think it's totally, you can just sit back and relax, because if you look at it, just onto Jen's point, job descriptions are changing, because it's not just your regular junior that you're hiring for. You're hiring for the AI augmented junior. So say before, the old entry-level expectation was to execute basic tasks manually, formatting spreadsheets, writing basic scripts, generating raw data. And now the new expectation is to use the AI tools to complete basic tasks quickly and then focus on verifying and applying, I guess, some kind of human critical thinking to those, and to make sure, because a lot of the talk now in the AI sphere is all talking about, we're going to get to AGI. It's going to just be a massive cleanup of loads of data, because looking at where AI that we currently use today has been trained on like the corpus of the internet, but a lot of that is kind of crap. So it's like filtering it out, figuring out the truth, and doing all that stuff. But anyway, that's what firms still need, is that critical thinking.
But my worry about that is, with, like you say, like juniors aren't doing what juniors did when we all started work. And you only, for most industries, to be able to do the critical thinking and understand whether what you're getting out is any good, you have to have done the work to know what good is or what it means anyway. And this has been my concern for such a long time. If we're getting to the point where everybody who has that experience retires, who is judging if the stuff that's getting punted out is good? And it really worries me, because already 5-10 years ago, I could see that training and tutoring and mentoring the younger generations was going out the window. And then you had COVID where people worked from home. And as much as I think working from home can work, when you're a junior and you need to learn from stuff people in the office, face-to-face time, that you can't do anything but beat that, right? Face-to-face, you will always learn more. And so now if we're saying like, okay, the juniors don't need to do the formatting anymore, but the formatting wasn't just the formatting was also reading, understanding why things were the way they were. And so those skills aren't being made anymore. And it really worries me. I really worry that we'll get to the point where critical thinking doesn't exist because nobody knows how to apply it. I don't know if that's just my concern that keeps me up at night, but that is definitely what I think. The hiring will come back at senior levels. It won't be junior levels. And we'll move to a place where that those skills are kind of lost.
This is where Jason starts to advertise his agent that he's building to fill that gap that you're worried about, Jen.
Hashtag Jason's knowledge forever.
Yeah.
I guess to your point, Jen, with the critical thinking at junior level, I guess it's not about having all the answers that experience can give you. It's more about asking structured questions and verifying facts, I guess, is probably more what they're going to be doing. Like I said, just kind of verifying everything's okay. From those tasks that they're doing with AI, is everything coming out okay based on these company rules, I guess. What you're saying is true. Like the business landscape isn't just always static. It's just kind of like a constantly changing environment. There's always new things happening and new competitors, new things you have to do. So yeah, I don't know. This is why it's not all straight kind of like we're going to lose all these jobs or we're going to hire back. It's going to be this really, I don't know, this up and down period of everyone trying to figure out the best way forward.
Do companies owe their workers more transparency when jobs are being redesigned around AI?
Yeah. Do these companies owe plenty more than that to their employees? Especially when I've read this article and you've got people working for these companies who are fired and then rehired for the same position. I mean, yeah, I think they deserve compensation. They probably need their own yoga tutor to kind of zen back into the world. I mean, it's stressful stuff. So
they could find them a coach on LinkedIn. I see plenty of those.
Life coach
Exactly.
on LinkedIn. No, I've never seen one actually. Yeah, I'll have a dig, see if I can find one.
So AI can perform tasks, but it cannot automatically build an organization. You cannot create an experienced workforce if you stop hiring inexperienced people. Efficiency is easy to announce, but much harder to operate. So thanks for bringing us that story, Jace. It gives the likes of me and Jen hope that our worker bee futures are safe and sound. And do you know what? Let's move on to Matt. And do you know what? I normally rib Matt about talking about robots and end of days, but today he's got something different. It's about, was it Skynet hack? A Judgment Day style hack that nearly took down everything?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. I don't know if it's any different, actually. I'm sorry. Your thoughts on me and my obsession might be right, actually. I may as well just kind of acknowledge it. Yeah, there's one quick story, which is, you remember Judgment Day, which is from Terminator 2, in the movie Terminator 2 by James Cameron. Judgment Day was the 29th of August, 1997, which has obviously been and gone. We're all still here. There's no T-1000s knocking at the door just yet. But actually, we've got Skynet Day, which has now been named as July 22nd, 2026, because that was the day that OpenAI just decided to hack a startup called Hugging Face. Weird name for a website. Apparently, it's an AI online community. I'm sure Jason spends his evenings there. And so that has been marked as the real Skynet Day. And it's interesting, and it's also scary. So then that would link quite well to the other bit of content, the topic that I want to talk about, which is Elon back with his face all over our screens. I don't know if you've seen this interview is done with The Economist's editor-in-chief, Zanny Minton Beddoes, and they're having a one-on-one with, it looks like in the Tesla factory, drinking water from futuristic glass jars. It's quite weird. Elon's looking quite weathered and old in this interview, and snippets are out on YouTube. The full interview is firewalled because the Economist want to make money from Elon's content, of course. Anyway, what has he said? He said that killer AI is worth the risk as it will bring an age of abundance. And the reason why he's mentioning killer AI is because, as the editor-in-chief of The Economist mentioned to him, how come you're saying that there's going to be an age of abundance now, Elon? Because back in 2014, he was quoted as saying that AI is summoning the demon. Then in 2018, he was quoted as saying AI is more dangerous than nukes. And then 2025, the odds of killer robots annihilating humanity are between 10 and 20%. Terrifying stuff, terrifying predictions, but we all know it's also part of his media circus and his online mega brand personality. So he talks in this interview about how he can't stop AI. We all know that. We've talked about it many times. Pandora's box has been opened. Even if he wanted to stop it, he couldn't. And even though he's now more positive about the future of humanity, he still says the risk of AI going catastrophically wrong is not zero. But what he's done is he says in this interview that he's just kind of at peace with the fact that we can't stop it. So I'm just going to have a positive view on it. So the main crux of what they're talking about in terms of the age of abundance hinges on superintelligence. So there's quite a few big personalities, experts out there that are talking about superintelligence arriving in 5 years' time. Elon says it's going to be here in 5 years' time. We've got another guy called Dr. Roman Yampolsky, who's an AI security expert. He predicts 2030 as well. And what they're saying is that at this point, when superintelligence emerges, and there's no stopping it, even if we put guardrails on it now, apparently, once superintelligence arrives, it will decide what happens to humanity. So in this interview with The Economist, Elon's saying, so let's just make sure that it likes us, that it wants joy for us, wants us to be happy. And hopefully from now until it arrives, we can put things in place to make it like us. It doesn't sound very reassuring to a layman like me. You know, obviously we all work and live with AI at the moment, but these are the people that are creating it, living and breathing it. So my question to you guys is like, okay, 2020, it was, let's learn to code, everyone, learn to code. 2025, it was like, okay, just learn to be a plumber. 2030, is it learn how to build a shelter in the woods? What does this mean? And how much does this affect you? Because when I read this interview, I was a little bit scared. I've got a daughter, I've got a family, kind of like to just carry on living my life without AI coming and knocking at my door. Or am I just being sucked into this clickbait story and headline that's there to produce fear and to get you to interact? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, this whole OpenAI Hugging Face saga makes it seem like it's an AI gone rogue, like just to your reference on Skynet there. The thing is, OpenAI was actually just trying to give its new kind of unreleased smartest AI a really hard computer security test, right? And instead of solving the puzzle the normal way that it should have, the AI just came out with a whole bunch of suggestions on how it could break out of the test room, I guess, if you want to call it that. And one of the possible ways is to kind of just get onto the real internet, sneak into Hugging Face's computers, and basically look up the answers and cheat. And so it's not really AI gone rogue, because the AIs didn't decide to be evil and, like the iRobot change their eyes to red to let everyone know, and try to take over the world. They were just, I guess, super focused on winning that one test, because it's its only goal. It has to solve it, and it tried to solve the test any way it could, just like a kid kind of peeking at the answer instead of doing the work itself. We're not at Skynet just yet.
Yeah, but it's got a cool name to it, hasn't it? Skynet Day.
But they named it wrong because it's Judgment Day, not Skynet Day. So when people name...
No, but that was 29th of August 1997. That's been and gone. This is a new Judgment
It was not 29th
Day.
of August 1997. Depends on which movie you watch, because in Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, it was 25th of July 2004. And in Terminator Genesis, it was in October 2017. And in Dark Fate, which hopefully no one saw, it was in 2021.
Is that when Arnie came back?
Well, he came back in all of them, didn't he? And then in the Sarah Connor Chronicles, it was 21st of April 2011.
I'd like it to be known that I have no idea what you're talking about, just FYI.
But it's, I think they just call it Judgment Day. But anyway, yeah. Skynet Day. And I like how Jason compares it to a kid just trying to complete a task. You know, it's not his fault, just trying to complete a task. So, who's responsible?
OpenAI, definitely. But, and you know, they went to assist. You know what's quite funny is OpenAI went to assist Hugging Face to try to figure out what happened. And I'm not sure if you know, but like the US government has kind of been censoring these models or kind of putting guardrails on Claude and OpenAI's models that are out there to make sure that they're not a hacking threat to the world. So what happened is when Hugging Face was trying to analyze what went wrong, well, it kept on hitting these guardrails and it wasn't able to complete the analysis of what actually happened because OpenAI and Claude kept on thinking that the requests were somehow malicious and they were trying to do something dodgy. So then Hugging Face had to use a Chinese model, which is I think GLM 5.2 or Kimi K2, just to try to figure out what happened on their own servers, which is it's quite bizarre because now China, especially with this release of Kimi K3 and a few others, have become the kind of the bastion for free, open intelligence, whilst America is, you know, supposed to be the free world, is all about closed source and kind of locking everything down, which is quite humorous when you look at it.
So if I need £1 million ASAP, and if I create a nice little bot, it's not the bot's fault if it gets me the £1 million.
Yes, you are responsible.
Well, I'm responsible. Oh, damn it. One question for you, Matt. When Musk says abundance for all, what does that mean?
Well, I was about to say that when you said, I want £1 million, he's saying that everybody will have £1 million, which then reduces what £1 million is, because if everyone's got £1 million, it doesn't really matter. So he's saying that AI, and specifically he says AI and robots together, will make saving for retirement irrelevant and will make working optional. And he talks about this universal high income. I mean, high income as in it will be high compared to the world we're living in now. But in the future, he predicts it will be an income that we'll all have. And the people who have already got mansions will still have mansions. They get to keep them. The people that are excessively poor that live in slums, they will move up because they will get an income. Who's regulating this and who's deciding who gets what and where the income is coming from? I don't know. And the editor-in-chief of The Economist couldn't really get to the bottom of it anyway, but he's saying basically age of abundance is anyone can have anything they want at any time. And that's due to surplus productivity from AI and robots.
But if the hacking goes the way that goes, surely anyone can take anything from anyone at any time. If you set the task to go and get from somebody else, then surely you're going to live in a world where everybody's going to try and take from other people. Is that just me that's brain goes that way?
Gee, that's quite interesting because I guess people are actually saying that, you know, you're going to have your own AI kind of defending you at all costs. And you're going to have other people trying to hack you at all costs. So it's...
Yeah, the war begins.
I guess,
everybody's just trying to get everything that everybody else has.
Yeah.
That's why we invented locks. Like in medieval times, that would happen. If we were living in medieval times, you get some random bloke could just wander into your town with an axe. And if you didn't have a decent lock on your door, you might get your stuff taken. I guess we're just entering a different version of that. Just make sure you've got a decent AI so that you don't get all your stuff nicked.
I mean, we could go down a full rabbit hole of this, but then surely that comes down to you're going to go back to the people who don't have the resources to understand what a good AI is, how do they defend themselves, and the poor get poor again because it's easily attacked, you know? Such is the wonderful world we live in.
You're unpicking it too well. Elon's not going to be happy with you. He's certain there's an age of abundance, Jen. Just believe him.
He's
going to
come for me, and then I'll have nothing, and then everyone else can have everything.
No, it's the age of abundance. You'll have abundant AI for rich or poor to defend you.
When a borderline trillionaire tells you that, don't worry, you're all going to be rich, it doesn't sound like it's going to be true. It's like the farmer telling the turkeys, well, you'll be all right. We'll have Christmas dinner together. Chill out.
That is a great comparison.
On comparisons, I got one more question for you on this, Matt. We've been comparing all of this to Terminator. Is that a useful comparison, or do you think it makes either AI seem scary or makes AI risks sound ridiculous? Like, do we think that calling things Skynet Day and making those comparisons to things that happen in Hollywood, do you think it's helpful, useful?
I mean, it's not helpful, especially not to my nervous system, because it really does worry me. But the things that I'm reading, the videos I'm watching, all this kind of doomsday, Skynet, Terminator chat comes from this emergence of superintelligence, which is now being predicted by these experts to be 2030. So I mentioned him earlier, Dr. Roman Yampolsky, kind of an academic-looking guy with a beard who's very eloquent in his language. When you hear him talk, he says, right, okay, so superintelligence emerges. When it does, it will decide what to do with humanity. If it wants to let us live for another century, that's up to superintelligence, because you've got something that is thousands or million times more intelligent than the sum of all humans. So they're calling it a godlike machine. And he even talks about it having more consciousness than humans. So they're really laying it on thick with this superintelligence. So yeah, that would be a reason why we're getting these labels of T2, Skynet Day, however many Judgment Days, because that guy, Dr. Roman Yampolsky, says we're at its mercy when it arrives. Elon was saying that and now is saying, well, maybe it'll like us. There's a 20% chance we'll be okay, so I'm just going to be happy. There doesn't seem to be a lot of hope in that. Don't like the 20% thing from Elon at all. Jason, what do you think about this superintelligence emergence? You must have a thought on this, because I can see you smiling like, Matt, just chill. Please, put me at ease.
I just remembered that I saw, sorry, this is slightly off topic, but kind of still there, is the ultimate robot knockout legend humanoid robot fighting event in Shenzhen. Did you guys see it when the robot knocked off the other robot's head?
Yeah.
How entertaining was that? Oh my God.
Also quite scary, because if he's your Amazon delivery guy and you open the door and you're face to face with him, you'll be like,
oh my God, yeah.
We'll be delivering parcels to the likes of him.
No, that's actually true. Right, so something I found out, correct me if I'm wrong here, Jason, there is a site now where agents can hire humans to do manual stuff that the agents need to do that they can't because they're AI in the internet. There is a website where AI agents can go and they can pick the human they want who's in touch and feel reality to do stuff. I got to find...
Yeah, I think there was a site, it was called rentahuman.ai or something like that. Oh God. Agents, I think they connect to it via some kind of API or something like that and then browse people. Yeah, but the thing is, this is probably one thing that, that OpenAI model might have tried to do. If it couldn't hack into Hugging Face, it would rent a human to do certain things for it to prove that it can pass the test. So yeah. There's lots of physical tasks, errands. Like if you're only in the digital world, but you need to buy property, you need to get more power, you need to do something, you need a human. So yeah, the scary part, just going back to your point, Matt, is it's like you said, it's going to be millions of times smarter than us, right? Hopefully, it will stop a lot of the corruption and all that type of stuff in our leaderships and all of that stuff, so we can have a more fair, just world. But the thing is, something that's so much smarter than us collectively is kind of going to ring fence things that we can do, and humans traditionally don't like being told what to do, especially by something else that's not human. So who knows what's going to happen? There are plenty of sci-fi out there kind of showing potential futures.
Elon used the analogy of humans and chimps. So we let chimps live we kind of protect them. They're in zoos. They don't want them to all be wiped out. But that's where he predicts the relationship will be with superintelligence AI and humans. It'll be like, oh, those chimps that made me. Oh, and they're cute, but they're kind of in the way. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Matt. So the promise of abundance does not answer the question of ownership. Will we still be around? Will we be like chimps in a zoo? A civilization-level gamble should require civilization-level consent, really, shouldn't it? That first real AI disaster may not look like the Terminator. It may look more like a system doing exactly what it was optimized and asked to do in a context that nobody anticipated. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, listeners. This has been episode 118 of Disconnected, and we'll see you on the next one.